I welcome you all to Kautilya IAS Academy, Pune. Today we are going to learn and understand a very important topic. You think of any competitive examinations, whether that is state level examination, center level examination, SSC, RRB, or any sort of competitive examination per se, the topic that we are going to deal with today is very, very crucial from the exam point of view. The topic is none other than voices. Now you think of voices, we have two type of voices, active voice and passive voice, right? We have two type of voices, active voice and passive voice. Now let's not to dwell into the technicalities of what is active voice and what is passive voice, or let's say per se the definition of these voices. We'll try and understand the basics of it, the fundamentals part of it, right? When it's come to voices, we have two types, active voice and passive voice. It is said that when it's come to English language, the communication can take place or any expression if it is with the transitive verb. Now, as you know that we have transitive verb, okay? With the transitive verb, you can express the same sentence in another way, right? So the transitive verbs per se, basically the action is received by the object. जो कुछ भी object उसमें होता है वो action को received करता है. Say like for example, she reads a book, right? So now the action of reading book is received and directed towards a book, right? Yeah. So the very, very crucial part of it. Yes, sir. Yes. So this is basically, we can call it like transitive verb. So when it's come to transitive verbs, we requires a transitive verbs in order to frame a complete sentence or an expression in passive voice, right? Moreover, we have an intransitive verb. So when it's come to intransitive verb, the action is basically is not directed towards this object. Say like, I am sleeping. So the action of sleeping is going on, but it is not being received by sleeping, right? So what we require, object in the end when it's come to passive voice. So this is slight difference between this, right? So as I said, like the expression can be expressed in two ways when it's come to English language. Like, say for example, the watchman calls out a lawyer. The watchman calls out a lawyer. So this is basically a construction of active voice. ये किसका sentence है? Active voice, right? Whereas the same sentence can be expressed in another way. Another way, like the lawyer is called out by the watchman, right? So there is no change in meaning. There is no change in contextual meaning or a literary meaning or a meaning that is being conveyed, right? There is only change in syntax and a word order or a grammatical structure, right? So इथे पण हेच म्हणायचं आहे की लॉयरला आवाज दिली आणि लॉयरला आवाज देण्यात आली, राईट? लॉयरला आवाज दिली and lawyer आवाज देण्यात आली. There is no change when it's come to the grammar of it, right? Only there is change in expression, and hence the same way can be expressed. The same sentence expression can be used in two different way, and इसीलिए हम उसको बोलते हैं voices, right? So we'll have so many examples ahead. Don't worry. Moving ahead, we have two types of, like, say, active voice. As I said, like, don't go into that technicalities कि अरे यार active voice क्या होता है. तो active voice is nothing but the action is per se directly performed by the subject. इतना sentence ध्यान में रखो. The action is performed directly by the subject. हमें पता है कि हर एक sentence में subject होता है, then verb होता है, and then object होता है. So when it's come to active voice, the action is directly performed by the subject, right? Action is directly performed by the subject. Let's say he drew a car, right? So sorry. He, say, like, we'll take the very simple example. He drives a car, right? So it's simple. He drives a car. or you can say in a better way, you can say like Mahesh drives the car. So the action of driving is directly performed by the Mahesh, right? The action of driving is directly performed by the Mahesh. So अगर directly perform किया है तो उसके बोलेंगे active voice. But the same action is being received by the verb. Same action is being received by the verb. अगर वो action verb ने receive किया है, right? Let's try and understand this way. Like in passive voice, a car is, right, driven by Mahesh. You think of it like it's very easy. So पहले केस में क्या हुआ, एक्शन को डायरेक्टली परफॉर्म किया गया महेश के द्वारा, इसलिए उसको बोलते हैं एक्टिव वॉइस. और पैसिव वॉइस में क्या होता है, जो एक्शन जो रिसीव किया जाता है वो वर्ब के द्वारा किया जाता है. सो लाइक द कार इज ड्रिवन बाय महेश, राइट? सो दिस इज बेसिकली, or action is expressed by the verb and is received by the subject. So sorry, it's expressed by the verb and received by the subject. So पहले केस में क्या होता है, एक्शन डायरेक्टली परफॉर्म किया जाता है सब्जेक्ट से, और दूसरे केस में होता है कि वर्ब के द्वारा एक्सप्रेस किया जाता है और सब्जेक्ट के द्वारा रिसीव किया जाता है, राइट? यस. सो मूविंग अहेड, लेट्स से लाइक विल हैव two examples per se to discuss. In this very first example, say the lawyers study the Constitution of India. The lawyers study the Constitution of India, right? So it's basically the action of studying Constitution of India per se directly performed by the lawyers, right? Now, second, the judges are adjudicating the judgment. So the action of adjudicating the judgment is directly performed by the subject, right? Moreover, now the same sentence can be converted into passive voice, saying that these words are performed by, the action is performed by the verb. Action is performed by the verb and it is received by the subject, right? So इतना ही difference है, बाकी कुछ नहीं है. Look at it, like how we have converted it. The Constitution of India is studied by the lawyer, right? The Constitution of India is studied by the lawyer, or the judgment is being adjudicated by the judges. So this is basically a prefactorial or introductory part of voices. I have certain rules and the stages while you are solving or converting active to passive voice and the vice versa, passive to active voice, right? So there are certain set of, not rule I would say per se, but I want you to pay attention towards these stages. अगर इस stages के बारे में आपने अच्छे से इस stages को अच्छे से follow किया, then the understanding of the active and passive voice would be very easy for you, right? So first, and guys, in the end, I have two bonus tips to you. At the end of these stages, I have two bonus tips, and I think these are going to be, I would say the building blocks of entire active voice and passive voice. Okay. So first, what you have to notice and identify: subject, verb, and object. The sentence is given to you. Now you have to identify the subject, verb, and object. So identifying object is the utmost important. Sentence में subject कौन सा है और object कौन सा है, वो identify करना बहुत जरूरी है. दूसरा रूल आता है उसमें, that you have to again identify the type of tense. Tenses हमने पढ़े हैं. Tenses is the building block or the foundation stones of your entire grammar part. Tenses के सिवा आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते. So पहले आपको ध्यान में रखना है subject, verb and object कौन सा है. दूसरे ध्यान में रखना है आपको कि types of tense कौन सा है. So ये simple present tense है, present continuous है, या फिर past perfect है, या फिर future continuous है. आपको identify वो करना पड़ेगा, right? Then second, you see, when it's come to the subject, like we'll take a very basic example. Mayur, say like drives a car, right? Mayur drives a car. So here in this active voice, the sentence is very clear, right? Now we have, when it's come to converting from active to passive, that you'll have to identify the object of it first. Object to identify करना है, and then you have to understand the verb format of it, the verb form of it, right? Yes. Then the third, say like passive voice, when it's come to the passive voice, there all the time the voices, sometimes the subject is not used. The subject in passive voice can be omitted in the sentence without giving enough meaning. So like you can omit the subject even while converting into passive voice. So we'll try and understand that. The milk is sold here. You can say like the milk is sold here. So like context is clear. You're supposed not to use even subject in the end. The fourth form, actually, the base of active voice, from converting from active voice to passive voice, not necessarily you all the time using by only. Sometimes you have to use at, sometimes you have to use with. And I have in the end of this PDF, I have certain set of verbs with which you are supposed to use either at or with, right? So by बहुत 90% हम by का ही इस्तेमाल करते हैं, but 10% we have an exception with certain verbs with which we have to use either at or with. उसकी लिस्ट मैंने बाद में दी गई है, ठीक है? Let's take an example like active voice, she prepares dinner, right? She prepares dinner. Now the dinner is prepared by her. So यहाँ पे by her आ गया, right? Rule number second say like she knows him. She knows him. Now he's known to her. यहाँ पे to her आ गया, right? क्योंकि knows to ऐसा आता है, known to ऐसा आता है, known by her नहीं आता है, known to, agitated at, married with, right? Interested in, ऐसे example आपको आते हैं. Yes. Then juice fills the jar. Juice fills the jar. And here in this last one, with juice. Like the jar is filled with juice. So in the first sentence, by हो गया. Second, to. Here third, with. In भी हो सकता है. Interested in. Right? Yeah. We have so many examples to cite at the end of this. Then, now you have to understand the pronouns of it, right? And sometimes you'll have to convert that when it comes to the passive voice of it, like say I to be converted in me, we, us, he, him. Like it's very easy, but I want you to understand this box and the entire table of it, so that you will not make any mistake as such. So when it's come to these two things, you pronounce, right? We use you only, and with it there is no replacement. So it's you, it, it. So it's that easy. I want you to pay attention towards this, because this is going to be very, very important, this entire 7 types of pronoun, right? Then the rule number 6 says that you have to use a proper auxiliary verb, that we know already. When it's come to present tense, we have auxiliary verb like do, does, right? And am, is, are. Sorry. Am, is, are, right? Present. When it's come to past tense, we have did, then had, was, and were, right? So you have to identify the type of tense, जैसे मैंने बोला है. Accordingly, you have to choose the auxiliary verb. Right away, we are going to understand after the very lecture what are different auxiliary verbs, right? Look at the example. The letter is written by her. The letter is written by her. So here in this case, So I'll tell you, like, this is the passive statement. You will not understand here. Rather, you will get confused, like how you have converted this into passive voice. Then rule number 7, following are the 4 tenses with of which we do not or the passive cannot be converted. कौन से वो? The very sheer reason is that, like, present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, then future continuous tense and future perfect continuous tense. So these are the 4 types of tenses of which we do not convert from active to passive and the vice versa, because we do not use in English language 2 auxiliary verb in the same sentence. Never ever. This is the sheer reason. Yeah. Now we have, as I said, like, I have one bonus tip to give you. And that bonus tip that you have to keep in mind, come high water or hell. You have to understand while converting this, right? Yeah. And the first bonus tip is when it's come to the conversion from active to passive. तो जब पैसिव में कौन सा भी सेंटेंस कन्वर्ट करना हो तो वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर 3 यूज करना है. यूज verb form number 3 only. Now you know that what is verb form number 3, right? Say basic example is eat, then ate, and this is eaten, right? Then with examples like talk, second is talk and third is talk as well, right? Third is again talked. Past participle, that we say, past participle. Moreover, I have one more thing to tell you. When it comes to the irregular verbs, there are high chances in your examinations जहाँ पे आपको irregular verb पे क्वेश्चन पूछे जाते हैं, because considering this regular verb, वो तो convert करना है, फिर उसका third form use करना काफी आसान हो जाता है. So mind it, you have to know at least 200 to 300 irregular forms of verb, right? जैसे example like swim can be complicated one, begin can be complicated one. So swim, swam, swum, right? Then begin, began, begun. So you have to understand or at least know 200 to 300 irregular forms of verb, right? So that's not only beneficial for active voice and passive voice, but also for your spoken English, right? Yes. Now moving ahead with the core part of active voice and passive voice. Now here comes one thing, that is the very things is structure, formula. And once you understand the structure and a formula of each single tense and their structure, I don't think this is going to be a difficult exercise for you, right? मला असं म्हणायचं आहे की तुम्ही ह्याचा अभ्यास आता कंपॅरेटिव्हली करा. द वे वी डेल्ट विद द टेंसेस, कि यार यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यूअस टेंस है तो सब्जेक्ट एम इज आर वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर 4, whereas in past continuous tense subject was were and verb form number 4, right? So इस तरह से कंपेयर हमने किया था. Similarly, you have to understand or you have to understand the structure, mug up the structure, but comparative analysis. You have to do a comparative analysis of it. Now thinking of this usage of form of verb, जैसे मैंने बोला कि कंपल्सरीली आपको पैसिव वॉइस में थर्ड फॉर्म यूज करना ही करना है. दूसरा बोनस टिप मेरा ये रहेगा कि व्हेन इट्स कम टू सिंपल टेंसेस लाइक सिंपल प्रेजेंट और सिंपल पास्ट, हमने देखा है कि हमारे पास डू डज है, एम इज आर है और वहां पे डीड है एंड वॉज वर है, राइट? सो अगर कंटिन्यूअस की बारी होती है, लाइक प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यूअस टेंस और पास्ट कंटिन्यूअस टेंस, फ्यूचर कंटिन्यूअस टेंस का होता नहीं है, पैसिव वॉइस होता नहीं है. सो दैट यू हैव टू यूज being, right? You have to use being there. And when it's come to perfect tense, यू आर सपोज टू यूज बी, दैट्स इट, इतना आसान है. तो क्या करना है, सब्जेक्ट वर्ब ऑब्जेक्ट को आइडेंटिफाई करना है, टेंस को ऑब्जेक्ट आइडेंटिफाई करना है. आफ्टर आइडेंटिफाइंग अ टेंस यू हैव टू टेक द ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ द एक्टिव वॉइस अ सब्जेक्ट इनटू पैसिव वॉइस, राइट. देन आपको क्या आइडेंटिफाई करना है, वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर कौन थर्ड कंपल्सरी आता है. देन यू हैव टू यूज, अगर कंटिन्यूअस टेंस है तो बीइंग यूज करना है, अगर परफेक्ट टेंस है तो बीइंग यूज करना है, दैट्स इट. नाउ सो फार थोड़ा सा डाउट तो आपके माइंड में होगा, बट इफ यू थिंक ऑफ one by one the structures and the pattern of it, I don't think that will be difficult. So yes, when it's come to present simple tense, we know like that the structure is very easy. Subject V1, S or ES, and then the object. But how are you going to convert that into passive voice? Now you have to understand these, right? So it's always starts with object, you know, जिसमें एक्टिव वॉइस में जो ऑब्जेक्ट है वो पैसिव वॉइस में सब्जेक्ट बन जाता है. गॉट द पॉइंट? यस. सो ऑब्जेक्ट becomes your subject in passive voice. Then the auxiliary, right kind of auxiliary, then verb form number 3 by and then the subject, right. Now when it's come to subject, you have to use, right, the objective form of that pronoun. ऑब्जेक्टिव, जैसे हमने देखा है ऑब्जेक्टिव फॉर्म क्या है उसमें, these are the objective form of it. सब्जेक्ट के ऑब्जेक्टिव फॉर्म क्या है, these are basically, right. Yes. So I think this is pretty clear. Now there can be do, does with the help of, like, this sentence can be like with the help of do and does, example can be asked even, right. So here in this case, when it's come to passive voice of it, do not get frightened at all. घबराने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. The similar structure you will have to follow. Similar structure you will have to follow, right? There is no change in it. Look at it, right? If it is negative, only add not. Only add not. That's it. When it's come to like the interrogative sentence is there. You simply need to add amizar here. Do, does is at the when it's come to auxiliary form comes first when it's come to interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentence में यहाँ पे अगर do does है तो यहाँ पे हमें amizar करना है, object V3 and by simple. Yes, this is the structure of it. Now let's try and understand the example with the help of this structure. It will be easy for you to understand it. Yes. Now look at it. We'll understand the very first structure of like subject V1 and object. He reads a copy of the judgment. He reads a copy of the judgment. Now your first stage is to identify the tense. It's a simple present tense. Second stage comes, you have to identify the subject, verb and object, right? So he is subject, right? Verb reads and object is basically a copy of the judgment. The judgment nahi. A copy of the judgment is the object of it, right? Now we'll try and fix these. We'll try and fix this formula into this structure. How? Let's say, what does it say? It says like object should be your subject in passive voice. So, यहाँ पे object क्या है? A copy of judgment. So, a copy of judgment becomes our subject in passive voice. हो गया ये object. Then, he reads. अब he reads के बारे में a copy of judgment ये singular है. तो उसके बाद में क्या आएगा? Is आएगा. Right? Look at here. Is copy of judgment क्या है? Singular है. तो सिंगुलर है मतलब यहाँ पे इज आएगा, राइट. अगर मान लो अ कॉपी नहीं होता, ही रीड्स कॉपीज ऑफ जजमेंट, अ कॉपी आएगा क्या? नहीं, बिकॉज अ किसके साथ होता है? सिर्फ कल ही देखा हमने, Yeah, you have to find out. So copies of judgment अगर होता तो यहाँ is की जगह क्या आता? R आता, right? So copies of judgments are read by him. So here third form, though the spelling remains same in first, second and third form of read का spelling same है, but when it's come to the pronunciation of second and third form, pronounce it this way: read, read, read. RED जो होता है ना, रेड कलर, वो प्रोनाउंसिएशन करना है उसका, राइट? सो रेड बाय हिम. सो ही का ऑब्जेक्टिव फॉर्म क्या होता है? ही इज प्रोनाउन, राइट? तो उसका क्या होगा? हिम. नाउ you try and understand whether we have fulfilled this structure or not. Clear? Yes. Now with the same example you can solve as many example as possible, right? Now second, with the help of do and does, right? Look at it. This 2-1. She does not cook food. She does not cook food. Now we have like does not cook food. Object am is are not verb form number 3. Now you have to observe one fact, that is V3 verb form number 3 is compulsorily being used. Compulsorily being used, right? She does not cook food. Now the object food. Food remains singular. So food is not cooked by her. The food is singular, is not. Does not का क्या होगा? Is not. Cooked by her. So she का होगा? Her. And verb form number 3. Simple, right? Next. Does he purchase books? Does he purchase books? So now thinking of this is an interrogative sentence, and when it comes to interrogative sentence, you are supposed to use auxiliary verb at the initial stage of your sentence. This is it. Am is are. So now books being a plural, right? ये ध्यान में रखना है आपको. ये ऑब्जेक्ट आपका सिंगुलर है या प्लूरल है, ध्यान में रखना है. So accordingly you have to use auxiliary form of verb. So here books. So are books. Is book होगा क्या नहीं? If it is singular, then is book रहेगा. But here are books purchased by him. देखो. Am is are object क्या था? Book. V form number 3 purchased by him, right? Are books purchased by him? Isn't it easy? Of course it is, right? So are book purchased by him. So we have 3 examples altogether with the help of this structure. What you have to do, merely you will have to understand one thing, that is the tense and its structure, and then the structure of passive voice. That's it. You can solve any given example, whether that in a competitive examinations or in a real life situation. You can solve any examples. Yes. I'm sure we're clear on this. For your understanding, let's take the last one. Fine. So she teaches me. She teaches me. So now here me is basically objective form of I, right? So ये me क्या होगा यहाँ पे? I होगा. And then since it is present simple tense, what do we use then? Am is are. We use am is are. और I के बाद में क्या आता है? Am. So am taught by her. I am taught by her. Very simple, right? So here me, I, here object becomes subject, then auxiliary verb, then verb form number 3rd, and then by objective form of the subject. So sometimes you will have to understand the very nature of sentence. Sentence का nature क्या है? Accordingly, you will have to switch, right? Moving ahead, then the continuous tense. As we know that when it comes to continuous tense, we have very clear-cut formula, that is subject, am is are, verb form number 4. This is the formula, right? Let's try and deconstruct that formula into, form into passive voice. So this is a regular formula of active voice. When it's come to passive voice, object will remain the same. Then am is are again will remain the same. What will be changed there? What will be the change? The change will simply being. जैसे मैंने बोला है कि कंटिन्यूअस में हमें being का इस्तेमाल करना है और परफेक्ट में हमें being, BEEN, being का इस्तेमाल करना है. That's it, right? Then this is again very clear. This is very crystal clear when it's come to the form of it, like subject, am, is, are, not. When it's come to negative statement, add not into it only. Add not into it, right? Then when it's come to interrogative sentence, you have to use the auxiliary verb at the initial stage or at the first place of sentence. So am, is, are, right? And then object of it, then being, and then verb form number 3, and then object, right? So we'll put these into the real life example. Let's move ahead. Look at this first example, that is Isha is studying law, present continuous tense. Isha is studying law. Now you will have to identify first the tense of the sentence. Of course, it's present continuous tense. Second example, like second stage, you have to identify subject, verb, and object of it. So Isha, subject, this is basically an auxiliary verb. Then main verb is studying. So यहाँ पे auxiliary verb आता है and main verb भी आता है. So am, is, are. So there are 24 auxiliary verb. Am, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, do, does, did, can, could, shall, should, will, would, may, might, must, ought to, need, and dare. These are 24 in nature, right? So you have to understand these are auxiliary verb. Is studying is basically your main verb and law object, right? So we'll put this into this structure. So what's the structure? You have to say like object first. What is the object? The law. The law is the object. Then what comes? Then comes auxiliary verb. So the law is singular, hence we use is. Then what is the there in the formula? Being. Am, is, are के बाद क्या आता है? Being. And compulsorily you have to use the third form of it. Then the law is being studied by Isha. That's it. Not a law is being studied by her or law is being studied by she. Here in this case, if the proper noun is there, do not use the objective form of proper noun. Say like if the boy is, then he or him, do not use it, right? You'll have to replace with the same proper noun. But if it is a pronoun, he, तो हो जाएगा वो उसका हो जाएगा him. If she, then उसका हो जाएगा her, right? It का क्या होगा? It remains it. You remains it. They change into them, right? Yes. So, yeah. So I'm sure that you understood this statement. Now you have to, there is no alternative, guys, when it's come to active to passive, because when it's come to grammar, you literally have to mug up so many rules. But once you understand this, and I want you to study these things comparatively, right? So object, am, is, are, being plus verb form number third, and then object. By and the objective form of it, right? Let's understand the negative of it. Kritika is not chopping vegetables. Kritika is not chopping vegetables. So we'll have to take the objective. कौन सा objective है? Vegetables. Vegetables are basically plural in nature. So vegetables are not being chopped by Kritika. आप now you will baffle with the fact, confuse हो जाओगे. सर यहाँ पे कृतिका is लिखा है, यहाँ पे vegetables are लिखा है, ये कैसे possible है? So dear all, what I told you and make you understood कि आपको ऑब्जेक्ट सिंगुलर है या प्लूरल है वो देखना पड़ेगा. अगर ऑब्जेक्ट सिंगुलर है तो एम, इज, आर का इज सिंगुलर ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब का इस्तेमाल करो. अगर वो प्लूरल नेचर में है तो आर का इस्तेमाल करो. यहाँ पे कृतिका सिंगुलर है तो इसीलिए इज इस्तेमाल हुआ, बट वेजिटेबल्स यहाँ पे प्लूरल है, यहाँ पे हमने आर का इस्तेमाल किया, राइट? जैसे हमने बोला था ना कॉपीज एंड कॉपी, कॉपी इज एंड कॉपीज आर. सो ये ध्यान में रखना है आपको कि ऑब्जेक्ट सिंगुलर है या प्लूरल है. ये तो बहुत बार क्या होता है, दैट creates a much confusion, and even after knowing the answer rightly, you cannot solve it just because of this silly mistake. Yes. Then, is Ritika buying a table? Interrogative sentence. Now, when it's come to interrogative sentence, look at this. Is Ritika buying a table? Now, you have to understand am is our object and being. So, how you are going to like is table is singular. So, is a table being bought by Ritika? Right? The table being bought by Ritika is so simple. There is no hurdles in this, I think. Now, let's try and understand the present perfect tense, because I want you to understand simple present tense, present continuous tense, and the perfect tense, so that you can easily understand simple past, past continuous, and past perfect. Right? Yeah. Now, here in this case, we know subject, have has, and object. Sorry, verb form number third and object. Right? So, subject, have has, verb form number third, and object. So, here in this case, one thing is very easy. क्या easy है? वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर थर्ड ऑलरेडी दिया जाता है आपको चिंता करने की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है. राइट. सो इस इन अ वे यू कैन से इफ द सेंटेंस इज ऑफ perfect tense, then that saved your time and precious mind as well. Right. And when it's come to the objective form of it, so object has have, then been plus verb form number 3. So here what we have to change in been only. वहां पे प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यूअस में क्या था, बीइंग था. राइट. बीइंग था. अब थर्ड में क्या आएगा, सिर्फ बीन आएगा. राइट. सो द formula remains the same. There is only a change of auxiliary verb be and being. इतना आसान, ये स्ट्रक्चर वाइज आसान कौन से किताब में दिया भी नहीं होगा आपको. Let me tell you guys. So it's very easy to understand. If you even take the screenshot of it and try reading it or revising it again and again would be a quick work for you. Yes. Then moving ahead with the example. Okay. Here we have example. The police have persecuted her. The police have persecuted her. Now the police means policeman is singular, but policeman or a policeman, sorry, the police is basically used as a singular and as plural as well. But if you want to be more specific about it, say policeman, right? Or police personal. Police personal. Personal नहीं, ये वाला personal, यानी double L. Police personal, right? Yeah. So the police have persecuted her. ये हो गया present perfect tense. Now what we have to change here only? You have to think of the tense first, then subject, verb and object. ये second rule है हमारा. Subject, verb and object को identify करना है. Third क्या करना है? जो object है उसको subject में लेना है हमें, right? So इसका object क्या है? Persecuted her, right? So her is basically an object उसका. So what could be the subject of it? Of course, she. And यहाँ पे हमने have लिया, but she के साथ हम क्या यूज करते हैं? Has, right? That we have already seen while studying tenses, right? So she has been persecuted by the police. So have been, simple. Now we'll try and put that into this scene. Let's say the object. She has been persecuted by the police, right? Now object क्या है? Her था. So she के बाद has, then after we use been, verb form number third, persecuted by, subject क्या था? The police, right? By the police. So it's that easy, that simple to understand. You simply need to understand three things. I am reiterating the fact. I am deliberately reiterating the fact, like you have to understand the tense of it. Second, you'll have to identify the subject, verb and object of it. Then you'll have to take object of the passive active voice as the subject in the passive voice, right? Then mind it while taking subject in the passive voice. You'll have to understand whether that subject is singular and plural. Accordingly, you'll have to change auxiliary verb, right? क्योंकि देखो क्यों important है, the police have, यहाँ पे plural है इसीलिए have, but ये जो object है that becomes singular here and hence we use has, right? So ये ध्यान में रखना है आपको, and compulsorily you will have to convert that into third form of verb. Is that easy and simple, right? Yes. Now let's take one more example with a negative sentence. Radhika has not written an article. राधिका ने कोई आर्टिकल लिखा ही नहीं, right? So यहाँ पे क्या होगा? An article becomes the subject into passive voice. Say an article and has not been written by Radhika, right? It's very easy. Then have they left the apartment? Have they left the apartment? Now you'll have to understand what is the object of it. Of course, the apartment. But since it's interrogative sentence, तो interrogative sentence में हमने क्या देखा है? Auxiliary verb को हमें पहले लाना है. So the apartment क्या है? Singular है. So क्या लिखेंगे? Has. उसके बाद में object. Has the apartment. Look at it. Has the apartment been lived by them? अब they का passive क्या होगा? Them. Right? They का passive? Them. Is that easy? I want you to study the remaining examples. Now let's understand simple past tense. It is way simple than any simplest thing, right? Saying the simple past tense is subject, V2 and object, right? So this formula remains the same. Now what we have to change here, you simply have to change was and were. There in the simple present tense, am, is, are. And when it's come to auxiliary verb or a form of to do is do and does. Here what we have to change? Change simply was, were and form of to do in past is did. So तीन चीजें आपको चेंज करनी है यहाँ पे, did and was, were. बाकी सब कुछ वैसे के वैसे ही रहने वाला है, right? So object was, were plus form number third by plus object. Here you have to understand did not, was or were not. Then if it is with the auxiliary verb or interrogative one, then you have to start with auxiliary verb here, right? Yes. Moving ahead with, and that will be pretty clear if you understand this with the help of example. Say like, the court gave the clean sheet in the murder case. The court gave the clean sheet in the murder case. Again the same stage. Type of tense, then identification of subject, verb and object, then object को आपको subject में लेना है. Okay. Now the court gave, it's a V2, right? The clean sheet in the murder case. Now the murder case is the clean sheet, the clean sheet, basically here in this case, the clean sheet is the object, right? Now here we have two objects, the clean sheet in the murder case, right? But you'll have to understand sometime the context of the sentence. So here the clean sheet, और वहां पे क्या आता है? Singular है इसलिए was, were. So was given to them, right? Given to them in the murder case by the court, right? The clean sheet was given to them in the murder case by the court. We'll try and simplify with the help of example. Let's say they found the cash amount. They found the cash amount. So subject, V form number 2 and the cash amount, right? Now what is object of this? Undoubtedly, the cash amount will be the object and hence that become subject in passive voice. So the cash amount. So the cash amount singular है, then the cash amount was then found by them, right? So the cash amount object becomes subject. Supposed to use was and were, hence the singular subject is there, hence we use was, then verb form number third, and then the by objective form. So by, they, them is the easiest way of solving it, right? Let's take the one more example. Aisha bought a bicycle. Aisha bought a bicycle. So here in this case, Aisha bought a bicycle. A bicycle becomes the subject. Was bought by Aisha. Is this, you can simply use this formula in every single sentence. Yes. Then we'll take like the interrogative form of it. Say, did they save my brother in the bribery case? Did they save my brother in the bribery case? So, did. There we had doodle in simple present. Here we have did. So, did they save my brother in the bribery case? So, here we have to use now was, were and not did, right? So, I can say like, was my brother saved by them in the bribery case? Was my brother. So, here brother saved in the bribery case. Was my brother saved in the bribery case? So, thinking of this, let's say Miria paid the bills. Miria paid the bills. The bills were paid by the Miria. Now, why we use bills? Because bills being plural and hence we use were. Hence we use were. Moving ahead, past continuous tense. The past continuous tense, subject was, were, then verb form number 4, and then the object. Is the easiest again, right? So what we have to change here? You don't have to change anything except one thing. Was and were. There in present continuous tense, we use am, is, are plus being. यहाँ पे क्या चेंज करना है? Was, were plus being. वहाँ पे am, is, are plus being. यहाँ पे was, were plus being. देखो ना, there is no change in it because यहाँ पे अगर am, is, are कर दोगे आप, then it becomes present continuous tense. The rest part will remain the same. So ये सेम ही फॉर्मूला है, इसका भी सेम ही फॉर्मूला है, इसका भी सेम फॉर्मूला है. Still we'll look into the different example and you'll understand it. Yeah. Nikita was writing the draft. Nikita was writing the draft. So considering like Nikita, now the draft becomes the subject of the passive voice, was being written by Nikita. So look at this statement, the draft, right? Then was, then being, then written by Nikita. Now you think of the same formula is being applied here. So the draft was being, right, prepared or written by Nikita. One more example. Yeah. Manish was repairing the car. The Manish was repairing the car. The car was being repaired by Manish. Look at the example. The car was being repaired by Manish. The same formula we apply here with the help of this structure. Yes. Then, were you reciting the poem? Were you? You. That's the reason we use were. Were you reciting the poem? अब यहाँ पे we'll have to take the poem as a subject. Was the poem being recited? So not necessarily or not compulsorily we have to use by and the objective form of the subject, right? So यहाँ पे ऐसे नहीं होता कि was the poem being recited by you? Not necessarily all the time you have to use. If the context is clear, you don't need to use even by him, by her, by you, right? So यहाँ पे वही हो रहा है, इसलिए हमने नहीं इस्तेमाल किया है. So to tell you, yes. Then she was baking the cake. The cake was being baked by her, right? Simple, yes. Now, the perfect tense. Perfect tense is really perfect because herein you don't need to scratch your head for the verb form number third, right? Exactly everything will remain the same what was there in the present perfect tense. Present perfect में क्या था वो सेम यहीं पे रहेगा, सिर्फ चेंज क्या करना है. वहां पे क्या था have and has. यहाँ पे क्या रहेगा have. Simply had you have to change, right? Other part will remain the same. Looking at the examples, say Manisha had a legal suit in the court. Manisha had a legal suit in the court. Sorry, Manisha had file चाहिए था. I'm so sorry. यहाँ पे थोड़ा स्पेलिंग एरर हो गया, फाइल लिख लेना यहाँ पे. द मनीषा हैड फाइल अ लीगल सूट इन द कोर्ट. अब ऑब्जेक्ट क्या है? अ लीगल सूट इन द कोर्ट. अ लीगल सूट, सॉरी, या a legal suit is the basically object of it. The legal suit had been filed in the court by Manisha, because you cannot take these entire phrase as a subject of it. A legal suit in the court, a legal suit in the court had been filed by Manisha. ऐसा भी बोल सकते हैं. There is no problem. The same sentence can be used like the legal suit in the court. Okay, the legal suit in the court had been filed by Manisha. ठीक है. Even you can like write this way as well. There is no problem at all, right? So the legal suit had been filed in the court by Manisha. This clears the context. Of course, this clears the context, but that does not mean that the another way of writing it will not fulfill the context as well. So the legal suit in the court had been filed by Manisha. ये भी सही है, वो भी सही है. I mean, according to the context and the structure of the sentence, you can modify it accordingly, right? Then Vidhi had not received the parcel. Vidhi had not received the parcel. So basically, the parcel had not been received by Nidhi. Very simple. Yes. We'll take the passive also. Had they caught the thief? Had they caught the thief? Now what we have to use here? Same one, had. There we have in present tense we use have has. So here you have to use had only. So had the thief been caught by them? Had the thief. So you put these example. So the example will be had the thief. You see, like had will remain the same. Object of the sentence is the thief. Had the thief been caught by them? So they, the objective form of they becomes them. The objective form of they becomes them. They is become them, right? So it's the easiest way of solving it, right? Now, as we said, like we do not have, you cannot make or convert present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, right? So directly moving on to future, the simple future tense. So as we know that this is the structure of active voice, subject will plus verb form number first. This is the usual structure of active voice. But when it's come to conversion of the active voice into passive voice, that change into this way is the easiest way. So it becomes will, be and verb form number third. Object will plus be plus verb form number third, and then the by objective form of it. Looking at the examples, Kriya will lodge a complaint in the police station. Kriya will lodge the complaint in the police station. Now looking at this formula, Kriya will lodge the complaint in the police station, then The complaint will be, looking at it, the complaint is object, then will and be, here will and be, then the verb form number 3, lodge in the police station by Kriya. That's it. So the complaint will be lodged in the police station by Kriya, right? Second example, I'll prepare my food. Example, we'll take this example again. I will prepare my notes or prepare my say notes. How are you going to convert this? My notes will be prepared by, or you can say notes will be prepared by me. Both will be possible. Notes will be prepared by me, right? You can use any example and solve with the help of this structure. Then we'll take not the negative, negative will remain the same. Will you mop the floor? Mopping, cleaning the floor, dusting, mopping, right? So the floor, will the floor be mopped by you? Will the floor be mopped by you? Will the floor, so will the floor be mopped with number third, verb form number third, by subject. So will the floor be mopped by you is the answer to this. So there is no much thing to discuss and deliberate when it's come to the usual and the same pattern. You simply have to understand the structure and go on solving as many examples as possible. Then we have future perfect continuous tense. As we know that when it's come to the tenses of like future continuous tense, so subject, will and shall, then so sorry, here we do not have this simple future tense, right? So future tense we do not have like subject, then shall and will plus be, then verb form number 4. So here we have shall or will and then be. Two auxiliary verb already present there in the same sentence, right? Shall and be. So if we convert them, then that formula will be shall be being, right? So this is disjointed structure. ये स्ट्रक्चर ही नहीं बनता है इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में अक्सर, इसीलिए फ्यूचर कंटिन्यूअस टेंस का एंड फ्यूचर परफेक्ट कंटिन्यूअस टेंस का एक्टिव टू पैसिव होता नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर इस लिहाज से देखा जाए शैल बी बीइंग, इसलिए ऐसे हो जाएगा, है ना? तो इस तरह से नहीं होता है. That's why we have to use future perfect tense, because in future perfect tense we do not have the repetition of the auxiliary verb. Look at the example, like they will have brought the car. They will have brought the car. So the car will have been brought by them. So object will plus have plus been and verb form number third. So object will plus have plus been. So what we have to understand, there is a change in auxiliary form of verb. So object will shall plus will, then have plus be, and this is very unusual expression that we use in English language. As I said, like passive voice is fine, but mostly and generally we convert simple tenses, continuous tenses, especially of present and past. फ्यूचर के बहुत कम इस्तेमाल करते हैं, राइट? बट फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग I just given an example. The toy will have been brought by them. So toy, yes, this is the object of it. Then will have been brought by them. So मैंने जैसे बोला है कि continuous में क्या आता है? been, और perfect में क्या आता है? been, है ना? तो ये ध्यान में रखना है आपको. Yes. And this, I think this is important now. The verbal question and yes no type question. The verbal question and yes no type question. Now the structure is like am is are, was were, and then the object and a verb form number 3. You think of anything, do, does, did, right? So say, does Shahid write a letter? Does Shahid write a letter? Now you know that verbal type question, yes no type. Are you going to Bombay tomorrow? Yes or no, right? Are you preparing for the competitive examination? Yes or no? Yes. So this is basically a kind of yes no type questions, right? So yes no type questions are asked with the help of auxiliary verb. So वो कैसे convert होते हैं passive voice में वो हम देखेंगे अभी. Yes. So looking at it, does Shahid write a letter? So शाहिद क्या है? Singular है. A letter क्या है? Singular है. तो इसके बाद में इसके लिए आने वाला वर्ड क्या होगा? Auxiliary form क्या होगा? Is. So मैंने क्या बोला? Am, is, are, was, were and object. देखो इसमें ये कन्वर्ट होता है क्या? Yes no टाइप के जो क्वेश्चन है. Looking at it. Is a letter. So क्या है? ये auxiliary verb कौन सा लिया हमने? Is वाला लिया. Right? So is लिया. And then object. इसमें ऑब्जेक्ट कौन सा है? अ लेटर. सो अ लेटर लिया. देन वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर 3 है, रिटन लिया बाय शाहिद. इट्स द सिंपलेस्ट वे ऑफ राइटिंग इट, द सिंपलेस्ट वे ऑफ सॉल्विंग इट, राइट? सो इसमें से कौन सा ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब अप्रोप्रिएट है वो लेना है आपको. देन यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई द ऑब्जेक्ट एंड देन द वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर 3. सिंपल, right? Object and verb form number 3. Looking at the second one, does she sing a song? Does she sing a song? So a song being a singular, so we have to write a singular verb. Is a song sung by him? So यहाँ पे देखो, is a song, object कौन सा है? A song. Then sung क्या है? V3. Then by pronoun. Right or no? So it's a song sung by him. Looking at like do, let's understand with the help of do there. When it's come to do they help the poor? Do they help the poor? So here we have to use now plural. Are the poor helped by him? Are the poor helped by him? How? The poor basically use, as we see that when it's come to this adjective, if you put the before it, it becomes plural. हमने articles में देखा है. So are the poor helped by him? So we have to solve with the help of this structure. Which structure? With yes no type question. So am, is, are, was, were, then am, is, are, was, were, object and the verb form number 3. Clear? Yes. Then WH questions. We have yes no type question. WH questions starts with WH word. कौन से है WH word? What, how, why, when, whose, etc. Right? These are basically WH word. And WH words, their formula is this. You have to use, there we have used am, is, are, was, were. Here you have to use WH word as in the beginning of the sentence. So WH word, then to be, the form of to be. Now what are the form of to be? We have form of am, is, are in present, was, were in past. Simple, right? Yes. So look at it. Why did Meena write a letter? It's a WH question. Why did Meena write a letter? Now you have to identify, it's basically simple past, right? The structure is of simple past. Why did Meena write a letter? So when it's come to simple past, you have to use then was and were. So why will remain the same? देखो WH word जैसे के तैसे ले लिया हमने. Then to be का फॉर्म कौन सा है? यहाँ पे did है, इसीलिए यहाँ पे was आ गया. So ये to be का फॉर्म हो गया, right? Then we said like object we have to take. Here is the letter is an object and hence we took later, a letter, and then here we said verb form number 3. This is the verb form number 3 and by Meena. Isn't it so easy? We'll take the next example. When it's come to who, you simply have to understand when it's come to WH word, who, start that sentence with by. Okay. Yes. It's a bonus tip. अगर who से अगर WH word who से अगर सेंटेंस की शुरुआत होती है तो by whom ये WH word लेना है आपको. By who. So who built the Taj Mahal? ये build भी अभी क्या है? Simple past है. Hence we use was. So to clear the context and accordingly looking at it word, by whom is the WH word, then to be's form, was is the to be's form, what is the object, then Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal is basically, right, and built, wow, right, it's a simple one, right. Then this is what we have to understand with the help of WH word. Yes, this is the formula of it. Then moving ahead with the passive of modal verb. As we know that the modal verbs are can, could, shall, should, will, would, ought to, must, need and dare, right? So with this, how we are going to solve? This is the formula of it, right? So it starts with object, modal verb, right? And then to be and verb form number 3, right? Looking at that, Samir can swim the English Channel. English Channel is basically a narrow sea passage, between France and England. That is called English Khadi, right? It lies between France and England. So Samir can swim the English Channel. Now, what is this structure? The English Channel, right? Then the modal verb इसमें कौन सा आएगा? Similar, जो दिया है वही modal verb लेना है हमें ये. This one. Then be, right? Verb form number 3, swum and by Samir, right? So we can say that the English Channel can be swum by Samir. The English Channel can be swum by Samir. Sorry, yeah, Samir. So can के बाद, will के बाद, yes, Arun. एक example I'll tell you apart from the mentioned one. Say active voice. You should do homework. Then homework should be done by you. So homework is basically an object. Model कौन सा है? Should. यहाँ पे should है तो should ही लेंगे. उसके बाद be compulsory लेना है हमें. be compulsory लेना है and be form number 3. Now say he will win the match. एक और लेते चलो. He will win the match. The match will be, यहाँ पे अब बताना है आपको क्या करना है. The match, ऑब्जेक्ट क्या है? ऑब्जेक्ट लिया ना, ये देखो यहाँ पे ये ऑब्जेक्ट लिया. उसके बाद मॉडल कौन सा वर्ब है? ऑफ कोर्स विल है. सो विल. उसके बाद में क्या लेना है? बी लेना है. बी. उसके बाद में थर्ड फॉर्म है. विन का क्या होता है? इस वन एंड देन ही बाय him. So the match will be won by him, right? Is the easiest way. Then I'm sure that you understood this, right? Yeah. Then verb with two objects. Now there are sentences wherein there can be two objects. Looking at it, say Karina gave me a book. So here me and book are two objects. And these can be solved in two ways. Karina gave me a book. So here me and book are two objects in this particular sentence. So how we are going to solve it? Either in first sentence you can take the first object. Me was the verb of was the subjective form of me is I, right? So give way to, right? So way to, like I was given a book by Karina. I was given a book by Karina, right? Second way of saying is like a book was given to me by Karina, right? When it comes to two types of object present in the same sentence, then that can be solved in two ways. First, you take the subjective form of the object, right? And another way you can replace this with a book. Then Mr. Ranveer asked him a question. So him and a question. These are basically two object. So you can use a question and he as a subject, right? Okay. Moving ahead, imperative sentence. When we use imperative sentence are used to give command, right? Or to request someone, to command someone, to exhort someone, right? Or to ask someone forcibly, right? So for that we use. So imperative sentences are always to be solved with let. Like close the door, bring a shirt, give me a key, right? Or shut the class, shut the tea, turn off the fan, right? March ahead. ये क्या है? ये command है, right? So these are basically imperative sentences, and imperative sentences are to be start with let only. So the sentence is let object be and V3. Examples have been asked earlier. I want you to mug up this structure. So let object be plus verb form number third. First example, bring a shirt. Bring a shirt, command, right? So let से शुरू होगा है, let the shirt. इसमें object क्या है? Let a shirt. A shirt object है, hence we took the shirt here, right? Then be and verb form number. Let the shirt be brought, right? दूसरा example, call the police. Call the police. So let the police be called. अब दूसरा देखते हैं. Shut the door. Shut the door. कैसे होगा है फिर? Using the same structure. Of course, we'll start with let. Then what's the object of it? Let the door. Door. उसके बाद में क्या है? Of course, be. Let the door be shut. Right? Then close the window. Let's say close the window. Now you'll have to solve this. Close the window. Use this let. Object क्या है? The window be third form. ये आपको ध्यान में रखना है. When it's come to converting sentence of active voice into passive voice, verb form number third compulsory करना है, right? So let the window be closed. Moving ahead, request. Like you can say simply, please open the door. Please bring a shirt. Please get the cell phone, right? Please give me a glass of water. So ये क्या है? Request है. So request का फॉर्मूला सेट है. So जो requested है उसको कैसे क्या है? ये फॉर्मूला है उसका. You are requested वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर फर्स्ट. यहाँ पे एक्सेप्शन बिल्कुल नहीं है कि सर आपने तो बोला है कंपलसरी वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर थर्ड ही यूज करना है, तो यहाँ पे V1 कैसे बोल रहे हैं? भाई साहब ये रिक्वेस्टेड है ना यहाँ पे, है ना? सो रिक्वेस्ट के सेंटेंस में ही आपको रिक्वेस्टेड का यूज करना है. देखो एग्जाम्पल, प्लीज राइट अ लेटर. ये क्या है? रिक्वेस्ट है. देन यू इज बेसिकली इंपरेटिव. मैं किसी को बोल रहा हूं कि प्लीज तुम लिखो. सो हाउ आर गोइंग टू से दैट? यू आर रिक्वेस्टेड. सो यू के बाद आ रहा है रिक्वेस्टेड, ये वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर थर्ड है, एंड हेंस वी से लाइक टू राइट अ लेटर. टू राइट अ लेटर. Look at the structure and the solved example. Please write a letter. So you are requested to write a letter, right? Yes. Second, please give me your pen. Please give me your pen. So you are requested to give me your pen. Look at it. You are requested to give me your pen. So you are requested is basically here you have to replace it. And then verb form number first and object. जो यहाँ पे जो ऑब्जेक्ट आया है राइट यहाँ पे गिव वो वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर 1 में ही इस्तेमाल करने हैं. किसमें सिर्फ ओनली इन द रिक्वेस्टेड सेंटेंसेस वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर 1 इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं बिकॉज वी हैव ऑलरेडी यूज रिक्वेस्ट इन इज थर्ड फॉर्म. जैसे यू आर रिक्वेस्टेड टू ब्रिंग अ शर्ट. मैं ऐसे भी बोल सकता हूं प्लीज ब्रिंग अ शर्ट. प्लीज ब्रिंग अ शर्ट. देन इसका मतलब क्या हो गया? यू आर रिक्वेस्टेड, राइट? यू आर रिक्वेस्टेड टू ब्रिंग. अब ये ब्रिंग बॉट नहीं होगा क्योंकि रिक्वेस्टेड तो पहले V3 फॉर्म में लिया है ना हमने. सो ब्रिंग अ शर्ट. एग्जैक्टली यू आर रिक्वेस्टेड टू ब्रिंग अ शर्ट. अभी इंस्ट्रक्ट करना है. सो आपको क्या करना है? सिर्फ ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड. अगर ना कहना है आपको रिक्वेस्ट में आपको ना कहना है तो कैसे करोगे? सिंपल. You are instructed to, or simply you can say like mention not earlier. You are instructed not to do that. Listen it like don't write a letter. Meaning later not be written. ऐसा मतलब होता है इसका. But when it's come to negative, you have to say you are instructed not to write a letter. Right? You are instructed not to write a letter. So sorry. Here you are saying like the formula will be, I'll tell you the formula. Slight change in formula. You are instructed not to. This is basically, and then verb form number 1 and object. Yeah. You are instructed not to. You are instructed not to. So here, please do not help him. Then you are instructed not to help him. You are instructed not to help him. Right? Here we have seen present, past, future, then S-no type questions, WH questions, imperative one, then the object, sentence having two objects. इतने सारे प्रकार के हमने देखे हैं, right? Moving ahead. So as I said, like there are certain verb with which you do not use by. So कौन से हैं? ये सारे वर्ड है जो आपको ध्यान में रखने हैं, right? Astonish it, right? Astonish at, ground in, interested in, killed with, line with, overgrown with, right? So ये आप स्क्रीनशॉट निकालो एंड उसको पढ़ना शुरू करो. Yes. So there are tenses. We do not convert them like present perfect continuous tense, past perfect, future perfect continuous tense, and a future continuous tense. All these 4 tenses cannot be converted into passive voice. Reason मैंने आपको बता दिया है. Yes. Now let's take the challenge of solving it. But initially we'll understand how we are going to do this. Let's take the very first example. The team is preparing the report. Now अभी आपको identify पहले क्या करना है कि tense कौन सा है. Present continuous tense. अब identify करो subject, verb and object कौन सा है. कर लिया identify. अभी object को passive voice में उसको subject बना. कौन सा है? The team is preparing the report. The report. Then singular है इसलिए is here being prepared by the team. The report is being prepared by the room. क्योंकि मैंने बोला है कि continuous में हम being का इस्तेमाल करते हैं, whereas perfect में हम बीन का इस्तेमाल करते हैं, राइट। अगर इसी सेंटेंस को मैंने इस तरह से लिखा तो कैसे करोगे गाइस? हाँ, से द टीम हैज prepared the report. Tell me, how are you going to do that? The team has prepared. इसमें चेंज क्या करना है आपको? सिर्फ बी नहीं ऐड करना है, राइट? और ये प्रेजेंट परफेक्ट का है, सो हैव हैज लेके बी ने ऐड करो। पास्ट परफेक्ट का रहता तो हैड लेके बी ने ऐड करो, दैट्स इट। कैसे करोगे? द टीम, सॉरी, the report has been prepared by the team. Yeah, the report has been prepared by the team. It's that simple, right? Now we looked into she will finish the project tomorrow. So हमने देखा तो है सब्जेक्ट विल प्लस वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर फर्स्ट एंड देन ऑब्जेक्ट, ये फॉर्मूला है उसका। उसका पैसिव का फॉर्मूला क्या है? सब्जेक्ट शैल प्लस विल प्लस बी एंड वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर थर्ड, राइट। तो ऐसे ए फॉर्मूला के देखते हैं। द प्रोजेक्ट विल बी, सही है, फिनिश्ड वर्ब फॉर्म नंबर 3 बाय हर टुमारो, राइट। द प्रोजेक्ट विल बी फिनिश्ड बाय हर टुमारो, right or wrong? Yes. One more click. One more example. The chef cook a delicious meal. A chef cook a delicious meal. अब इसका ऑब्जेक्ट ले लो। अभी ये क्या है? कुक्ड, सिंपल पास्ट है। सिंपल पास्ट में हम क्या यूज करते हैं? was and were, हमने देखा है वो। सो द डिलीशियस मील, ये कुक्ड V2 है इसलिए was ले, और डिलीशियस मील कुक्ड बाय द शेफ, राइट। So I want you to study this example. Now converting from active voice to passive. How are you going to do that? I'll solve 2 examples and rest you will have to solve on the similar line. The carpenter built the house. ये है subject, ये है verb, ये है object, right? ये verb किसमें है? V2 फॉर्म में है। अब V2 फॉर्म में है तो हम क्या यूज करेंगे? Was were। पहले लेते हैं the house। The house बिल्ट है ना, इसीलिए, और हाउस क्या है? सिंगुलर है। देन वी टुक was as a auxiliary verb. The house was built by the carpenter. The carpenter, right? Second example लेते हैं। The reckless driver drove the car. The reckless driver drove the car. So the car, drove क्या है? Again V2 है। So the car was, और थर्ड फॉर्म क्या है गाइस इसका? ड्राइव, ड्रो, ड्रिवन, राइट। द कार was driven recklessly. You can say the car was driven recklessly by the driver, right? Recklessly means carelessly, without having any concern for anyone. Yes. So I want you to solve these on the similar line. Now from passive to active. I have to tell you, the ball was kicked by the boy. The ball was kicked by the boy. Now you'll have to understand the very first tense. Tense कौन सा है इसका? Was किस में आता है? Was kick किस में आता है? ये आता है simple past में, right? Simple past में आता है. So the conversion will be very easy then for you, right? So the ball was kicked by the boy. So simple है, the boy, right? ये सब्जेक्ट बनेगा ना इसका, the boy। इसको क्या कर रहे हैं अभी? सेकेंड फॉर्म लेना है सिर्फ उसका, kicked, the boy kick the ball, the ball। अभी देखो इसको अगर आपने पैसिव किया तो ये सेम ही आता है, क्यों नहीं? या द बॉय किक द बॉल, द बॉल was kicked by the boy. दोनों भी देखो convert करके, you will get the same answer, right? Which one to take one? Huh. We'll take this one, and the rest I will take. I'll give for a homework. The AC was written by Salim. So again, this is a V2 verb form number 4, right? So Salim being a subject, then the essay was written by Salim. Then Salim wrote an essay, right? Salim wrote an essay. इसका देखो, an essay was written by Salim. ये convert करो इसको, you will get the same answer. An essay was written by Salim. So this way you can practice both type of active voice as well as passive voice. Here in this tense, let's try and understand the context and the usage of auxiliary as well as the main verb. इसमें देखते. Look, the dog. Now you have to understand, if it is by Sarah, then feed is the first form. If it is by Sarah, then is fed. कुत्ते को खाना खिलाना और कुत्ते को खाना खिलाया जाना, है ना? That's two things are not different. That's the same thing, but way of saying is different, right? Yeah. So is fed. Which one is better? Same. So let's understand the fourth one. The mechanic, the car engine yesterday. Now you'll have to use it so wisely. The mechanics, the car engine yesterday. The mechanic was repaired the car's engine yesterday. Which one is correct? The mechanic was repaired the car engine yesterday. No. Here in this case, when it's come to verb perform the action, the subject directly perform the action. Use active voice. मैंने आपको पहले क्या बोला है? So is repaired. So here repaired. So sorry. Repair. Because the mechanic itself directly performed the action of repairing, right? So इसीलिए was repaired नहीं होगा, ये होगा repaired, active voice, right? अगर इसको convert करके देखो and we'll good to go. The mechanic repaired the car engine yesterday. इसको कैसे करोगे आप? It's the challenge for you to convert that into passive voice now. The answer is, before you was repaired, you will have to use in this statement, and we are good to go then. So with this challenge, I hope that you understood active voice and I would say voices in a way. So the final and the last tips from my end would be to study tenses first, and then the examples, and along with that the structures and the formula of active voice and passive voice, right? And with the help of that, you can solve any example in any exam. So with this hope, I take your leave. Thank you very much.